Montgomery County, 35% of children receive free and reduced meals. This is Montgomery County's way of helping to diminish hunger. Children can get a relatively healthy breakfast and lunch at school 5 days a week. But what do they do on the weekends? The Karen Goldberg Smart Sacks program was created to supply food to children who did not have enough to eat on the weekend. The program is now running in more than 50 elementary schools in Montgomery County.
Each of our 57 schools has a community partner, so that could be a faith-based group or a corporation or just a group of neighbors that wanted to get together and do something. So when we hear from a school that they'd like to start the program in their school, I go on a search for a partner in that area that is willing to sort of adopt that school for at least a full school year. So all the food comes into Manna, comes into our warehouse here, and Jamal, who's our warehouse staffer for the Smart Sacks program, will collect a bulk amount of the food and put it on a pallet. And then the partner for each school comes to Manna either twice a month or once a month to pick up all that food, bring it back to their place of worship or their place of work. They then have a group of volunteers there who pack the food into bags, and then they deliver those finished bags to the school, typically on a Wednesday or a Thursday, for delivery to the students on Friday. And the school staff are the ones that coordinate the delivery of the bags to the particular students at the end of the week.
The goal of the program is simple: to help families out by providing their children with food for the weekends, lightening their economic load. The Smart Sacks have recently taken a change, though. The menu used to be full of kid-friendly foods that didn't really have much nutritional value. Now new, more family-friendly, and healthier foods are taking their places.
And as Jenna has taken over the program, she has looked at a more nutritional way of dealing with it. Because everything goes through transitions, and they have to go with what people donate to them in many ways. Because the food is donated to Manna. Some of the food is donated to Manna. And so it has gone through some real growing pains. They now deal with 2,200 students in 58 elementary schools in Montgomery County are currently being served. And it's probably a little more than that by now. That was, 2 months ago. So, it's now, it used to have more like, every week you might have a snack, like fruit snack or cookies or, and there'd always be mac and cheese, and there would always be maybe Roman noodles and that kind of stuff. The kids loved it, but nutritionally it was pretty empty calories, a lot of it. And Jenna's really taken to heart the desire, and this is, I was in a meeting with her and was listening to her speak, and she really has taken to heart the need and the desire to make sure that they're fulfilling their goal, which is to get healthy food into the house.
Where before there were ramen noodles, snack foods, and mac and cheese, there is now canned fruit, rice, and oatmeal.
So we decided to transition to a menu that includes some family-sized items as well. So now there is a core group of larger, healthier items like whole wheat pasta, brown rice, bags of dry beans, cans of chicken and tuna that go into all the bags so that they can be made into family meals throughout the weekend. But we wanted to keep in a few items that were still easy to prepare if you're a young child and individual size just for the student. So we keep granola bars are still a part of the Smart Sacks menu, as well as fruit cups and applesauce cups, oatmeal packets for breakfast, and small individual milk boxes as well.
The menu change is so recent, however, that the results of a survey concerning the positive results of the menu changes are still out. However, the Smart Sacks program is now helping kids make healthy, nutritional choices that might not have otherwise been affordable.
They've noticed in some of the studies, and I have not heard this year, so this is information that we were given last year by the counselor at the school. They could see a real dramatic difference. The kids were coming on Monday. They weren't coming hungry. They weren't coming having had a whole week of nothing, a weekend of nothing but junk. They have, a bag might have beans and rice or mac and cheese, tuna, salmon, peanut butter. So, some solid protein and some good food. And so the kids were coming more able to function on Monday. Before that, they were seeing that the kids really, some, not all, but some would come. And, if you're used to having every breakfast and every lunch provided by the public school system, because you need that, and then you get home on a Saturday and Sunday, well, there's no lunch and there's no breakfast in your house. So the kids were coming hungry. And so they're seeing a difference academically and behaviorally, that, you know, that the Smart Sack is making a difference in their lives, plus they're healthier. So I think that's probably number one, that the kids are getting something they need.
So where does the food go on its way from the food bank to the students? Manna gets its food from donations, food drives, or rescues from grocery stores. When the food comes to Manna, it's not really in organized bins, so can sorters separate the food and organize it for future use. The specific food for a Smart Sacks community partner is then loaded onto a pallet and picked up by the partner. They deliver the food to another location, be it church, house, or other meeting area, and there, volunteers pack the sacks. The sacks are then delivered to the schools by the partner. The partner may deliver them 1 month's worth at a time, half a month's worth twice a month, or even a week's worth once a week. There, the kids receive the Smart Sacks every Friday to take home to their families. Of course, even with careful planning, things can and do go wrong.
And I think all of us are having to struggle with that. You know, it's as bags now cost a nickel a piece. You go through a minimum of 160, 200 bags a month, because there's always ripped bags or smelly bags, or, you know, that's a hurdle you had to overcome whenever there's a school holiday. You know, so it's a challenging program, but it's so worth it in the end, that I think that on those days I think, why are we doing this? I try to remember those 42 kids and think the frustrations are pretty minimal compared to kids who don't have enough to eat in their homes. So I think it's worth it for that.
I'm just so glad that we have the program in our school, because the students, like I said, really look forward to it, really enjoy having the Smart Stacks. We've had the bags in our school probably for the last maybe 3 years. We've had the bags in our school, and I'm really glad that we have them.
I want people to know that the program is really valuable, and it's been in existence for 8 years now. We have great partners in the community that are making it happen. Whole Foods has been with us since the very beginning, Sodexo down the road, and just more than I could mention. So I would say it involves a lot of community support, and so far we've had that community support, so I want to say thank you to everybody who supports the program right now, and encourage others to get involved by either doing a food drive or a fund drive, some other way where we can increase the capacity of this program and serve more students who need it.
The Smart Sacks program is not a cure, merely an aid to help soften the sting of hunger. However, this aid can be the difference between hungry and happy children, which is definitely an important difference to make.